yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night on the bus. You know what that means? It's time to get that Friday feeling because Celtic are back in domestic action this weekend for quite a rare occurrence. We're also playing before the noisy neighbours. It doesn't happen too often, but yes, we are in that position this weekend. So we will be talking about that, and hopefully Celtic will be taking advantage of it and maybe cleanse themselves of what happened through the week because yeah, obviously that one's still lingering as well. And the two gentlemen that are on with me tonight, they've not had a chance to have their say on that one, so I'm sure we'll touch as well on that, what went wrong in Rotterdam from their point of view as well. But yeah, before we do all that, obviously, let's go around the table and do our introductions. So, Connor, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, guys. It's Friday, so it's the weekend. Should all be in a good mood. But the ever lingering fear of the spaghetti had is on the horizon. So we'll have to see how it goes. But aye, I'm good. Things are going good. Working away, and good to be back on the bus.
Good stuff, mate. Glad to hear it. And of course, what would a Friday night on the Boise bus be if I'm not on with the man below me here, the wise man of the bus, Canada's favourite Tim, the punk duck warlord, Liam Greenlaw. Give us some knowledge, wise man. How you doing, my friend?
Good, I'm really good, thanks. It's a beautiful day here in Vancouver. Got these Zelenskis in our parliament today asking for money. See how that goes. You grifter. Aye, just see how it goes today. Aye, good day. Happy to be back in the bus, Phil. Phil.
Yeah, good stuff. Glad to have you on, mate. As I say, it's a Friday night. It's a tradition for you and I to usually be on the bus on a Friday night. So let's keep that going. But yeah, we're not talking about the past anymore. We're also talking about the future. Although the next episode of Nostalgia coming up is a humdinger. It is the 10 in a row failure. Oh, God. So that's lingering. Forget the fact we've got the spaghetti had lingering tomorrow. That's also lingering as well. It's coming down the pipeline. Oh, boy. That'll be a good one when we get to it. But yeah, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But before we do anything else, of course, remember, folks, do all that good stuff. It helps us out massively. Help out algorithm CSC. Hit that like button. Obviously, get involved in our comment section tonight. Leaving comments, obviously, below the video as well helps because YouTube loves an active channel and they'll push and promote active channels more. So it'll get the Boise bus into more people's recommended boxes on YouTube. Of course, you can share the link of the Boise bus far wide and all over social media, whatever you wish. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. It only takes a second to do so. Remember, hit the bell notification and you'll be notified when the bus is on the road. And of course, head over to piesports.com. That way, other side the logo's on. I always get it wrong. Use the code BUS1888 and get 12.5% off. Thank you very much, Liam. That was very smoothly done. And yeah, with all that said and done, yeah, let's get talking, guys, because yeah, it is Livingston tomorrow. The spaghetti had Almondvale. I just can't call it the Tony Macaroni. I just cringe every time. So yeah, Almondvale to me. But yeah, you just said at the top there, Connor, it's lingering, it's looming, it's a looming fixture. It's one of these ones. I said it last night on the First Night Forum when we were wrapping up the show. I'm like, this is a fixture that I look at and I'm like, I hate this more than Celtic going to Ibrox for whatever stupid reason since 2018, since Livi came back up to the Premier League. Our record isn't great there. We've played 6 games. We've won 2, we've drew 2, and we've lost 2. So we actually went at one stage, 4 games, trips there without a win. And there were also a few games scattered in between at Celtic Park where they managed to get a point here and there. So they have become a bit of a pain in the arse, to put it lightly. But last season, albeit under a different manager, we did obviously beat them 3-0. And the season before, we beat them 3-1. So our last 2 trips, Connor, have been pretty positive, coming away with 3 points. Tomorrow, it's just a case of whatever it takes, make sure we get it done. There doesn't need to be the fanciest football. It's always going to be hard on a plastic pitch anyway to play perfect football and score the perfect goals. Tomorrow is one of those games that we just need to do whatever we can to get it done, isn't it, Connor?
Yes. It is a fixture, it is a stadium, as a club, a manager, I do not like going up against. They're like my sleep paralysis demon is David Martindale, who sits at the fucking bottom of my bed, putting hoofball tactics up on a wee whiteboard. So yeah, it's not a fixture I ever look forward to. I absolutely dread it every single time it comes up. Like out of every single team in the league, I hate playing Livingston the most. And I have to give them kudos because for a club their size to be able to get results against Celtic consistently is quite impressive. Even though if it is on an absolute fucking pitch, it looks like City J&W carpets, and a manager who is an absolute wee goblin who plays absolutely shite football, and is just an unlikable person, and so many other expletives I could use. But yeah, it is just a matter of getting 3 points for me. I know people are like, oh, but we'll beat them easy. It is a place that Brendan has never won a game, which comes into the back of my mind. So it really fucking bothers me that they have such a hold on me and such a hold over Celtic. But
yeah,
I know with Ange, we broke the duck. I think that's more to do with the style of football and that was getting played as well, coupled with other, having better players there than we do currently. So there is a lot of mixtures in the bag that it could, spell a bit of danger for us if it was to not go on. Because, I mean, look, we've played Kilmarnock, a team who like to sit, keep the ball. They beat us. St Johnstone, a team like to sit back, keep the ball. At Celtic Park, by the way, got a draw against us. I mean, this isn't we're going away on a plastic pitch. Ain't good for players, especially players who have lingering injuries, who we struggle at quite a lot. So yeah, the writing's on the wall for me that it could be a bit of a difficult afternoon. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we go and play an absolute blinder and it's a Brendan masterclass. But I'm waiting with bated breath just to see what happens.
Yeah, see, anyone will do. But I think you're right to bring up the style of play that we're going up against, because look at the results so far this season, Liam. There's a bit of a mixed bag where, we're sitting top of the league and stuff like that, but the performances haven't been great. And the sort of pattern that I've noticed is teams that will sit in against us, we seem to just be quite happy to just keep passing it sideways until maybe an opening comes. Obviously, St Johnstone, that 0-0, the loss to Kilmarnock, another plastic pitch. But even the game against Dundee last week, up until the penalty, it was a repeat of the St Johnstone game up to that point. It was a lot of passing sideways and waiting for an opening. And you know that Livingston tomorrow are just going to be 10 men behind the ball and hope to hit us on the counter-attack. See, the first trip that Ange had there in his first season, it was one of those games where we had a lot of the ball, and they got one like snidey counter attack and scored from it, and then just again sat with 10 men behind the ball. And that is the type of stuff we're up against. We're going to have to compensate for that pitch. And you hate to use it as an excuse, but the ball does roll different on a plastic pitch. It bounces different on a plastic pitch. So these are all things that we've got to be ready for. And if we've got to get down and dirty and change our tactics a bit to get through it, again, Liam, it's just whatever it takes, mate, because 3 points is a must even at this stage. We've got to keep on putting the pressure on, because the biggest thing, as I said at the top of the show, this, Liam, is a rare instance where we will be playing before them. This is where this Europa League thing will kick in now, where they're going to have a few Sunday games guaranteed. And this is one where we've got to put the pressure on. Okay, they did win last night. They'll be on a high of that and winning that Europa League game, and it'll probably alleviate a bit of the pressure that's on Michael Beale. But ultimately, the league and stopping us is what they want to do, and it's their bread and butter. So if we can be going in 7 points, ahead for their game on Sunday, then it's going to create a wee bit of toxic atmosphere for them if it stays 0-0 for a while in their game. And they've said before, their captain has said before in the past about a lot of their players don't like when they've got a lot of pressure on them. So we need to take advantage of this and make sure that we put as much pressure on them for Sunday.
Aye, I mean, they're coming off a win as well, so they'll be high and up for it. I'm more worried about our mental strength right now, seeing that we have players dropping like flies, to suspension and that. I mean, it's an interesting view on the tactics and the team selection for tomorrow as well. And that is, do you try and set up a team that's going to play against Lazio, or are we there just to try and get the 3 points we can against Livingston? As Connor said, that's our bogey team. We've been horror with them. It's a shit park, shit wee bogey manager. Yeah, just horrible wee place, right?
Yeah.
But I think Brendan has enough players to beat them. And this is where I'm hoping, okay, this tactical nous that, we went into Ibrox feeling we were undermanned and short-staffed and didn't have enough of the right players. And now we've lost another 2, I think, since then. So I think let's see what Brendan can do, but I still think he has the players to do it. And you're right, we can't do it playing this horseshoe football. We have to have a plan that's going to have to either release Kyogo better, and be more looking for the balls that like Alistair Johnson put through when we scored against Rangers. And so I'm looking to see if, like, okay, can we learn for this? Like, do we know, are we going to try and put the same, do things the same way? Or, Brendan, come on, you're not new to this league. You know what that pitch is like. You've struggled there yourselves sometimes at times, and you know it's been bad for us lately. Let's get in there and let's have a tactical plan that we're going to come away with all 3 points here. Or even decisive as well, because I think if we score early, get 2 or 3, and I think that will all go away. Yep. The more it goes like the last game and the one before it, the more we'll struggle. Like I'll be getting nervous, So imagine the players will start like this as well. So we need a plan that's going to be a bit more surgical, where we can come right through the middle and not just concentrate on the horseshoe around the wings.
No, definitely, because again, you're saying scoring early is so true, and it's one of these things I find myself saying every week for Celtic in a domestic game, because again, I've seen it too many times. Teams are just quite happy to sit 10 men behind the ball and just play for a point. But of course, you do score early, you scupper the plan. Of course, the last time, Connor, that we did go there, we did beat them 3-0 last season, and we did score early. We scored in the first 10 minutes, and the guy that obviously gave us the lead, and again, he's just so vital to us, is Kyogo, and obviously Celtic. I'm not doing a Sean Connery impression there. Celtic 67 has came out and said, should Kyogo play on that horrendous pitch tomorrow, or should O play? And I know why she's asking that, because this is something that comes up every time we play a team with a bit of physicality. We did it when Giakoumakis was here, but ultimately Ange would basically give the bout to Kyogo majority of the time and usually be justified, because Kyogo would end up scoring a goal. I remember up at Ross County, the tail end of Ange's first season, there was a big debate about Ross County, but physically we should play Giakoumakis, and then Kyogo started and he scored a header of all things a few minutes into the game, settled the nerves. And then with Livingston last season, that horrible place that we don't like going to, again, a header quite early on. I think Kyogo will start tomorrow. But obviously, there is that worrying. We were talking about last night on the TNF about he's got this shoulder pending issue. He's been announced by Brendan basically he does need a shoulder surgery at some point, but it's up to the player, it's up to him. But obviously, we're playing a team who, let's put it lightly, a lot of cloggers in that team. But I understand why you should come in with that one saying about should O play, but I think for me it's got to be Kyogo, because he is the magic man. He is the one that is most likely to score a goal. And the best thing about him, Connor, is even for any chances he misses, he never hides. He'll always get right back up and try again. He's not like a striker that goes into his shell if he misses a chance. So he's so vital to us tomorrow. And for me, he's got to start.
He's got to start. I know people have this, inherent fear with all the injuries piling up, and look, rightly so, because we're in a bit of a crisis now when it comes to the injuries. We're looking like a sick ward in fucking World War II, man. The fucking bodies are piling up. But I don't think you can drop your talisman, your star man, just because we're playing on a shitty wee pitch against big physical guys. That could be any game in Scotland, let's be honest, because they're all the teams that we play against, majority of them are defensive, majority of them are big and strong and physical, and he seems to do fine against them. He's also scored against Livingston a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
And look, Livingston are coming at this game in relatively decent form. They didn't start too well, but I think they're unbeaten in the last couple of games, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think they're unbeaten in the last couple of games. So yeah, it's well, I think we could be not up against it, but it's definitely going to be bit of a tough game, and they always give us a bit of a tough game. I mean, let's be honest, we've seen it, we've been there and got the Tony Macaroni t-shirt. So I would just play Kyogo, because he's scored the most goals in the league last season. You can't drop him. I know that he's not getting as much service now, which is the thing that's frustrating me, is no one's really trying these through balls that we see Hatate usually pull off, or when players like Moy was playing, he was trying these clever passes, or even O'Reilly to certain extents. But a thing we are doing now is we are putting a wee bit more balls over the top, and I think the best candidate who's been doing that recently, I think it's been Liam Scales. He's been very good. Yeah. He's been very good at floating the ball over the top to our wide players or even towards Kyogo. So that's why.
Sorry to cut you off, but I was saying the Dundee game last weekend, was it Scales that played the ball to Maeda that Maeda was flagged offside on? But it was a long ball for Scales, wasn't it?
And that's why, honestly, I think once our defensive problems, this is going in the future, obviously, but once our defensive issues are, sorted and we've got all Carter Vickers and Rocky whoever back, I would just start playing Scales at left back and get rid of Taylor because he looks so much more comfortable defensively and he can actually, play a ball forward, play a good flighty ball over the top. And I know that Maeda, for all his faults and how poor he's looked recently, if there's a ball coming over the top and he's playing against some of the jobbers in this league, nobody's going to beat him for pace. And all he's got to do is just try and work in that final ball, and we could be in for a bit of a winning formula with that. But to cut a long point short, I would start Kyogo because we need what he's going to offer 110%. I think he's going to be the key man tomorrow in breaking down Livingston's walls.
Yeah, definitely. And well, of course, Liam, this is something that comes up all the time. I maybe talked about it last week as well, but Seamus McKenna's came in and suggested that, is it time for the two up front tactic? Is it finally time for it to happen? Or about Owen and Kyogo playing together? That would mess them up. It would certainly be something that I don't think Livingston and Martindale would see coming, because again, Celtic traditionally over the last good few managers that we've had, and other than Lennon, broke that tradition for half a season before COVID just ruined everything. He went with two up front, but yeah, again, that would fine. But the problem you've got there is nobody's on the bench. There's no forwards on the bench. So if it's not going well and you need to turn to your bench to try and find a goal, there's nobody there because, again, we talked about last night in the TNF, there's no other forward options. But Owen Kyogo, maybe even at some point tomorrow, do you think we'll see them together on the park at the same time? Or do you think if O does come on, it'll be straight swap, Kyogo off? Or do you think Brendan might, again, it might be dependent on situation, I suppose, but could you imagine that one, Owen Kyogo together? Because it's something that I think we're all dying to see, because again, Celtic fans, we just seem genetically programmed to we just want to see, go at teams attacking these teams that sit with 10 men behind the ball, and obviously the more forwards on the park, the better that the chances of doing that are. So it's quite natural for those sort of calls to come for these type of fixtures.
It's just one of those sort of things that you want, as fans, you want to just sort of see. And if you can't see it in a game against Livingston, when are you going to do it? You're not going to do it in the Champions League. So, we all have this feeling that it will work, that the more firepower that we have up front, the more chance the less they have of just shutting down Kyogo and concentrating on him. I mean, maybe Rodgers might even shake us up more. He fancies Dizan as a striker as well.
Yeah, we saw that in the preseason.
Did you see Dizan and O, or did you see Dizan and Furuhashi? I mean, it would be interesting options. You always want the big guy, wee guy, sort of like Eddie and Griffiths and that, right? And so you also assume now you got one big guy to sort of clear everybody about, and the wee guy to pick up the snapshots and stuff like that. And I don't know, it might be interesting with two guys like Dyson and Kyogo up there and see what sort of space they open up and create, and see if we can pull the Diddies or other, the 18-yard box, because I think that's how they're going to have to create space. And even if they're creating that sort of space, maybe that gives somebody like Callum McGregor or Hatate a chance to have a shot, or maybe Alistair Johnson can have another go and try not and hit the woodwork 20 times a game.
Yeah, he was very unlucky. That Dundee goal frame last week, it definitely led a bit of a charmed life. Is it twice he hit the bar in the post? It was mental. He was so unlucky though to get a goal there, because one of the moves, the one that the keeper tipped onto the bar, he deserved a goal for that one. It was a phenomenal move the way we played it through them, but just one of those unlucky breaks for him. But Connor, let's talk about new signings and getting them bedded in. And obviously, again, come back to that plastic pitch. Not every player can adapt to it, but one of the comments that's come in here from Ronnie Pickering, how many of the new signings can't play on the carpet? Because this seems to be a thing that comes up. Certain players over the years just can't they won't be risked on it. I remember Jozo Siminovic in particular was never played on any of the plastic pitches. If Hamilton, Kilmarnock or Livingston came up on the fixture list, it was like, nope, didn't get a game. But then again, majority of the time he was injured anyway a lot. But we go back to centre-backs again, an injury crisis there. Last week against Dundee, Nat Phillips rolls his ankle coming off at half-time, and that's him again. He's been here 3 weeks, and he's had 2 injuries already. He had a knock when he arrived, which stopped him from playing the first game right after he arrived. And then he was back for the Dundee game, and he couldn't play in Rotterdam through the week because of rolling his ankle. You've got to imagine with that type of injury, it shouldn't be a long-term thing, but do you think he'll be risked, or do you think we'll be sticking with Lagerbielke and Scales tomorrow at the back?
I'm not sure. I would just stick with what we've got now, but because if you think you're just coming back for an injury and they're like, right, I'm going to chuck you in against Livingston on a plastic pitch, I don't think that's great. Great management, because we do need all the players we can get, especially in defence, because of how we've been struggling recently. So I would just play Lagerbielke and Scales, because I think if they can't defend against Livingston, then I think we've got a lot of other fucking worse problems to worry about. Do you know what I mean? They're not exactly renowned for their goal scoring or forward play abilities, are they, Livingston? But
they're going sort of 10 men behind the ball. So realistically, we're going to have a lot of the ball. We shouldn't have to deal with many attacks, but anything they do get, you'd like to think that they are competent enough, and I would think so, to snuff out any counter attacks.
Exactly, especially when we've got a Champions League game next week, and it can give Nat Phillips a couple of extra days to rest up and maybe get back to a bit of fitness as well. So I know match fitness and before that is totally different things, but I think just kind of wrap them in cotton wool and bubble wrap and whatever else you can keep them patched up with until he can return back to the side. But yeah, with the other new signings like Yang and Palma, I don't know. You'll have to wait and see. I mean, we're one of the only bloody leagues in the world to have an infestation, I'll put it, as an infestation of plastic pitches. So, I mean, I don't think it has any place in the the professional game, even especially the top flight. But as we know, why a lot of Scottish football is penny pinching, so that's why they do it, and the SFA are content to just let them away with it. So there's not much we can really do about it besides complain. But I will have to wait and see. I think it's obviously very different, but I think under Ange it didn't look like it hampered us as much. I think we played just as good on plastic as we played on grass under Postecoglou. Obviously, with Brendan, it's a bit different. Obviously, has a history of not performing well there, and also against Kilmarnock was maybe a bit of a bogey team for Brendan as well. Two things they have in common: plastic pitch. But I think honestly, I think we'll be fine. I know, it's people are getting in a bit of a tizzy about it, and it's as well because everything that's been leading up to it, and just the fact that it's Livingston, and I have fucking nightmares about that place. But I think we'll be fine. I don't really think that we're going to come out of that game and we'll have another 5 injuries, as example.
Fingers crossed.
I know, fingers crossed, knock on wood, but it's I think we'll be fine.
Yes, we can't afford any more injuries, so hopefully they come through unscathed. In fact, one of the questions going to have from Timmy Bing saying, can we risk play skills in that pitch? I think he would have played a few games with Aberdeen there last season, I would guess, because he was definitely getting his game at Aberdeen, so he would have had first Kilmarnock in the league last season. Again, plastic pitches, he's definitely got experience of playing on them. So far, I mean, I know skills isn't the answer long term, but fair play to the lad. I think since he came in, he's always been thrown in, but it's like, we've not got much choice right now. He's got to play, but he's done all right up to now. Even on Tuesday night, he was still okay, even though the whole team seemed to have a bit of a capitulation. But he's definitely not been the worst performer. So I'd say in terms of can we risk playing him, I think we can. And as I say, realistically, we don't have much choice right now because we are the walking wounded, particularly at the back. But just quickly touching on something from Tuesday night, and will this play a part? Lagerbielke obviously saw red on Tuesday night there. Liam, obviously it's a UEFA competition. It doesn't affect him getting suspended or anything, but do you think it will knock his confidence that or anything? Because what have you made of Lagerbielke so far? Because it's like, it's like he's trying to channel Carl Starfelt in many ways. He's a Swedish centre-back as well, which is quite freakish. But my take on him is, I think basics, he's not too bad. But when he dwells on the ball, like we saw at Ibrox, there's a few issues there. A bit of refinement definitely needed. And of course, Carl Starfelt had similar issues where the basics he could do, but when he was allowed to dwell and carry the ball a little bit, he could play himself into a bit of danger. And then you saw what happened on Tuesday night with the second yellow card, giving away the penalty, and just clumsy and a bit naive, went it the way. So just threw his hands out, pulled him down. And do you think that'll affect him in terms of, like, you know, because right now if he's feeling a bit of the pressure from the stands, do you think that'll affect him tomorrow, or do you think he'll still just be like, it happened, we just move on, and he'll get through it?
I mean, I think as a professional football player, yeah, he's going to have to move through that, you know. But it's funny, I do see a striking similarity between him and Neil Beaton. You know, the same stats, the way they run is very similar in that, and you know, just knowing that you might have that mistake in you, that wee bit lack of concentration or form, or whatever it is, but. You know, I was surprised we got that goal. You know, we got that goal chalked off because I thought, what are you doing? You know, I know he did get tackled and get fouled and that, but it was like he did put himself into a vulnerable position that he didn't. Here's the other question. Maybe doesn't he start tomorrow? Because knowing that he's not playing in Europe through the week, do you put Iwata in? No. But if Phillips doesn't make it, then you've got Iwata to sort of bed himself into a game. I think there's a player there. I really do. I think he was the Japanese player of the year, where all sorts of players have came out for Japan, played in the national team and all that, and went for big money to other clubs and that. And you know, so, I mean, that has to say something. And he did play, I think, as in the back line as well. And we've seen him once. I think a lot of people are dour on him because he missed out in that header against Harry Suter. You know, at Ibrox last year, he just sort of like. Just took his eye off it, or didn't want to be as forceful enough as he should have been. And so I think he got labelled a wee bit soft there for that. And, you know, that's the last thing we want is another soft guy in our back line.
I think the issue with Iwata is there was a game last season he was playing at centre-back against St Mirren, another team of cloggers, and they had the big guy up front, Curtis Main. Although, to be fair, the goal that we lost in that game was him and Tony Ralston ran into each other. They just a total miscommunication, probably unfamiliarity, not playing alongside each other regular. But there was a one where, and even the rest of the game, he was kind of getting bullied by him. And again, we're playing a team tomorrow with big cloggers up front as well. And I think Iwata would be a bit of a risk putting him in there. But for whatever reason, Brendan just doesn't seem to be utilising him at all. Comes over here, Japanese League Player of the Year. He got on Tuesday night, but it was literally needs must because we were down to 9 men and he had to patch it up, and that's how Iwata got on Tuesday night. Would he have got on if it was still 11 men on the park for the full game? I don't know. It's a weird one that he's just kind of... Because I haven't really made up my mind up on Iwata. I haven't seen enough of him to decide. But I'd like to think that with what he came in with the credentials, he won the J-League Player of the Year. And it's not something we can go, it's only the Japanese League. The best player, Kyogo, who was a top scorer, one of the top scorers out there. So it's not exactly a standard we can go look down on. They say the one you're talking about there with Suter winning the head, that was a Kobayashi, and I think his race is run. He's a forgotten man now, isn't he? He is he's nowhere near it at all, and that is a centre-back as well. But if it's a case of, because I think last season, I think Ange gave us all the clues we need on Kobayashi when he was happy to play Iwata, a much shorter and a centre midfielder player, ahead of a guy that's a centre-back. In centre-back, that kind of showed that even under Ange, Kobayashi's race already seemed to be run. Bit of a strange one with that. But yeah, with Iwata, I wonder, and you're right to raise that point. Lazio's obviously, October the 4th we play them, as Terry and Russ will be talking about. Like, even though, we got off to a bad start on Tuesday night, there's still all to play for, because if we do get a result against Lazio, a win, then we're right in the mix there. So does he start thinking about that already? Because we've still got Motherwell to come in between, which will be next week. So he's got, would he be thinking about that? Didn't you say though, Liam? Am I right in saying, did you say that Alistair Johnson has played centre-back for the Canadian national team?
I think that was one of the positions that he's played. When they first signed, they always tell you what utility these players provide, and that was the same way Iwata as well, that he was a good fullback as well to play at centre-back. But I think It'd be interesting if you could see about moving Johnson in the middle and then bringing Ralston in. If you were to play 3 at the back, just going with what we've got left, that might not be a bad option. As Ralston, Johnson, and Scales. No, sorry.
No, it's just, if he did change it up, because if he's got that in him, then, and again with the physicality of Livingston, you got to remember Ralston's definitely a very physical player. He's definitely not reached the levels that I think many of us thought he was going to get to in that first season under Andrew. Like right now, we're starting to see a real progression in Ralston. But yeah, he has came in for games against more physical teams. But I'd still think it will be Johnston that will get the nod tomorrow at right back. And I think in terms of centre back, if Phillips doesn't make it, then I think it will still be Scales and Lagerbielke there. Now let's talk about another new signing as well. We saw him through the week. Connor, he got quite a hard time on social media. What did you make of Luis Palma in his first start? Do you think it was a bit harsh that fans were just going all in there, two-footed on him, writing him off already? Very reactive, was it? Were they justified in it? I think it's way too early to be just, writing him off. He's seen as the Jota replacement. I think people were expecting that right away from him. But it was, say, the performance on Tuesday night, when he was on the ball in the first half, when I felt we were definitely still in the game, and he was trying his best to get by players, but ultimately, it wasn't coming to much. But yeah, a lot of fans were really going in two-footed on the lad. Tomorrow, obviously, again, how will he cope on a plastic pitch if he plays? I've got to imagine he'll probably keep his place in the side. But what did you make overall of Palmer's start on Tuesday night and the cameo that he had as well against Dundee last week? Do you feel that people are jumping the gun too early on him?
I mean, I think your support is as amazing as we are. I think we do expect players to come in and just hit the ground running like that, and especially once we lose a player like Jota and all that, would be bring players in, or even lose Starfelt and bring in another centre back. We expect them to immediately be to the standard, if not better, than what they are, because we're trying to replace them. But I think it's far too early to be judging him. He's a young lad. He was playing away in Honduras and then away in what was the other place? Was it like Greece, aye. And then with his international team, so he was moving about all over the place, and then he came back. And then he's away to go and play against Feyenoord in Holland. So it's and he's been in the least amount of time at all the signings. Do you know what I mean? He came in the last day of the transfer window, and he's not had much time to settle down, get used to the squad, get used to the manager play, when he's used to the lifestyle. He's probably been in his new house for only 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And if like anybody, we're all human beings. If you start a new job or whatever, and even if you move, you're all over the place, you're discombobulated, it can affect you mentally and doing what you do. So I feel for the lad. He's a young laddie coming in for a league which is very similar, if not a better quality, to the Scottish League. Let's be totally honest. And he could tear it up in that. So do you know what I mean? I think it's just going to take a wee bit of time for him, because the expectations on players coming to Celtic is absolutely massive. You're expected to hit the ground running, like that. You're expected to be the best thing since sliced bread, even if you're on a free, or if you're pay £10 million for you. I mean, that's a bit of a joke, because we'll never do that. But
we had high hopes for that, but sadly didn't materialise.
I know. So hope it kills you. But it is. I think it's far too soon to start judging him. I'd say give him another couple of weeks. And if things don't improve from there, then I think the conversation can be had. Is he good enough? Do you know what I mean? So, I think just give it a bit of time and have a little bit of patience, and it could probably come good. I mean, the thing that I find strange is, though, is I think was it against Dundee, we had a free kick. And obviously he's not going to be the first choice, but we had corners and free kicks, and I like, why not? One of his things is he's meant to be a set piece specialist.
Yep, agreed.
Do you know what I mean? So, and we don't score for set pieces, unlike other teams where that's all they can really score from. So why not give him a shot? Do you know what I mean? Can't be any worse than what we've already got. Let's be totally frank. So I'd like to see him come out the shell a bit more. And I think with how Livingston are obviously going to play very, very deep.
Yes.
So he's going to have, if he's starting, he's going to have a very good game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't think he'll start. I think it'll be Yang.
Okay.
I think it'll be Maeda and Yang will start, and then he might come on. But I think if he does come on, he'll need to, try and show the Celtic support a little bit more what he can do, because you'll be aware, players are very much, keyed into what they're thought of in the public sphere.
They're acutely aware, one would say.
Aye, acutely aware. They're very, very aware. What fans think of them, especially nowadays. So he'll know that, and he'll know, right, I've got to back up my ideas because I clearly don't have 6 months to a year to settle in here and show people what I can do. I need to start doing it now. So here's hoping that, he takes the message and he runs with it.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, I think Palma will be fine, but it's quite early on to be writing them off. And you see a few games down the line, say he's doing. But ultimately, I think he'll do okay. But somebody, Liam, that's vital tomorrow, and again talking about this low block that Livi are going to play. Rio Hatate started his first game of the season on Tuesday there, but again, of course, injury has played a part there, and we don't know exactly what was going on at the start of the season. Not privy to the information, but it was a bit odd that Rio Hatate, one of the best players, arguably the best player, some people would say he is the best player in the squad, not getting a start in the first few games for David Turnbull instead. Tomorrow it's going to be Hatate in there starting. And what did you make though of his first start of the season on Tuesday night? Because he was heavily involved, I felt, in the game, but again, a few rash decisions. There's a couple of chances we had on the break where if he just played a pass in quicker, there was one in particular that Kyogo was peeling off to his left-hand side, and he had like a shot, and he just had like a daisy cutter, just skimmed along the ground into the keeper's hands. And it was like he could have maybe just played in Kyogo there, but ultimately he is going to be such a key player, especially against teams like Livi tomorrow, who will not show much ambition to attack us. So it's obviously a massive positive that he is fit and available, and you would expect him to have a big say tomorrow if we're going to get a result.
I hope he's 100% tomorrow and we play him, because there's two things we need him to do. One, Livy's just going to build a fortress, right? They're just going to put a big padlock on the gate and that's it. So we need somebody that could come in and pick that lock. And he does that. He's very aware when he runs. His head's always up. He sees movement. He sees spaces. And he's very good at that quick turn away, especially bigger guys. Don't know how that'll work in artificial turf, probably benefit him. So he should be able to turn these guys in the middle and create that space so that Kyogo's running onto balls and balls are coming through the middle rather than getting, punted up for the other side of the park or crosses in that he's not going to be able to compete aerially with the giants, that Livingston have got. The other thing he's got to do is help Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor right now, I think, has been struggling with that midfield. I've seen somebody in the comments say, he's missing CCV. I agree with that as well. He needs another Marshall back there that's going to keep everything running, keep that pace going, all that things that we know that he does when he plays better. He finds that rhythm and he finds his momentum, and then the whole team starts playing at that speed. And I think that's really important, and hopefully Hatate's got that pace and just awareness and stuff that he can bring Callum into a better game than what we've seen him on Tuesday. So the two of those just got to strike up better chemistry, better relationships on the park, just keep the ball moving and that as well. I don't think Turnbull has it. I mean, I've seen enough now about Turnbull to know that this might not be the game for him either. Maybe if we're resting bodies or something, but this is a game for Hatate to unlock their defence.
Definitely, because the thing about Turnbull as well, Connor, is at the start of the season, obviously first game, he gets to start against Ross County and scores twice that day. Yeah, okay, one of them was a penalty, but we don't tend to do very well scoring penalties. We've had a track record over the years of fluffing them, and Aaron Moy was actually very consistent at them, and obviously he retired. But yeah, he scored that, and then the second goal where Matt Riley's done really well, got the cross into the back post, and yet maybe in a tap-in, but you've got to be in these positions in the first place to put it away. But I had high hopes that, okay, maybe we will now see a real improvement in Turnbull. Again, we're going with Brendan Rodgers' track record of what he did before as Celtic manager, where players like Stuart Armstrong, who were pretty much on the scrap heap when he came in, suddenly became really useful. And my feeling on Turnbull after that game was, as long as he's at a point where if he's in the team, you don't look at it and go, that's an empty jersey. But ever since that Ross County game, it's felt sadly like he's become that. And it's like, after such a promising start. So I think Liam's totally right there in saying that it's no a game for Turnbull tomorrow. And yeah, again, just talk about Hatate and just touching on your thoughts of his performance on Tuesday night and how vital he will be tomorrow. Because yeah, he does need game time. He definitely does, because he is just back off an injury. But we know how good he can be. Say we're not exactly privy to what the decisions were at the start of the season as to why Brendan wasn't giving him the start, but it's done now. But hopefully now he's back in the team and he does get back up to full speed as quickly as possible, because he's going to be absolutely vital for us into Connor.
He's one of the best players in the country, and he's one of the best players in that team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the stick he's getting. It's quite it's a bit bizarre in my opinion. I know his performance was far from anything acceptable, especially from a player of his quality. But he's just back for an injury. There's talks say that his head turned, or he's discussing a new contract, whatever. But he's a good fucking player, and he can turn it on. He can turn on the flair, turn on the style. There's things he can do in that midfield that no other player in this country can do. And I've seen it. He's so good with his close control with the ball at his feet. He could have 3 players on about him each side, and he can take the ball, turn, and make a forward pass. He doesn't do the Turnbull thing where he takes the ball and he looks about, and then he maybe turns, and then he passes it sideways or passes it back the way. He's a different kettle of fish altogether for it. I feel like Turnbull, and we've seen his quality consistently over the past couple of seasons. Whatever's happened as Brendan came in, he said his injury that maybe, not seen eye to eye, he's maybe rejected in a deal or whatever, we have no idea. But you play your best players in the positions that you need to win games. I know that people have this opinion that if their head's turned or if they want out or whatever, they should never play for Celtic again. But you don't know that for a fact. No one's... Hatate's no fucking phoned anybody up on this podcast or in the chat or on Twitter saying, by the way, I'm leaving. I'm going to leave. Bye. Bye, Celtic.
Well, he's stuck till January, so you may as well get playing, lad. You may as well.
Plus, he knows exactly if he turns it on, right, and he plays well, he gets goals, he gets assists, his market value goes up. He performs in the Champions League, his value goes up. His signing on bonus or whatever it is, if he moves on, goes up. That increases. His brand as a football player increases. Do you know what I mean? Think about that game where we got beat 3-0 after Real Madrid, or whatever the score was, at Celtic Park for the first game in Champions League last season. How many times did that, the ball he hit on the volley, the cross across the park, how many times did that clip come up on Twitter? Feel like the official Champions League page and that as well, saying, what a fucking pass that is, how good's Hatate been on that? He's a good player who is highly rated in football now. And we shouldn't just be saying, he's been shite. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit pedantic, in my opinion. In terms of the rest of the midfield, I don't know why Turnbull has been getting in ahead of boys like Home and that. And we've just brought in a youth signing with massive potential from Benfica to buy for around about the same price as Jota. And it's a market that's done well for us, going down that well. And he's, the Portuguese under-21 teams got caps for that. A Benfica youth product. That boy's clearly got something about him. Otherwise, we wouldn't get him in.
Yeah,
so I don't know what he's got to do to get more minutes.
Obviously, again, we haven't seen enough of these boys, but obviously, as the season's going on, and they say hopefully the injury list doesn't get any worse than what it is. But when we do obviously hit the winter months in particular, the fixtures come thick and fast. So having lots of options will obviously do us the world of good. Having that squad depth, and we will probably see more game time for these guys as we head into that. But yeah, Bernardo is somebody that I've got high hopes from again for all the characteristics you described. He's came from the Benfica youth system. That's good stock if it's anything to go by what we got from Jota. So you'd like to think that if we get a player in that similar calibre, we've done no bad there. But again, we'll just need to wait and see more of him, hopefully. And fingers crossed we do get the chance to. I hope so. Now, for the last 15 minutes or so, you boys haven't been on since the game on Tuesday. So just quickly just talk on what happened, your thoughts on it, and where it leaves us in the group, looking ahead to Lazio in a week and a wee bit, say October the 4th for that one, because Liam, I know I say this expression a lot. I even took to Twitter and used it again to describe the goal, but Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe. Once again, that first goal is only a goal that Celtic would concede. It's not even a goal that Celtic would score. I always say it, and it's not just me because I'm a Celtic fan and I'm just biased in that way, but I do feel like Celtic lose the worst goals in all of European football every time. There's always some sort of disaster behind it. Something goes wrong. A whole series of events goes wrong. That first goal, the free kick, Martinelli gives away a sloppy free kick as we're heading into stoppage time. We're sitting at 0-0. We're doing okay up to that point. It's like, just get in at half time. We can regroup. We can go from there. We've done all right up to now. Gives away a sloppy free kick. The next time he goes to the wall, lets down Joe Hart in terms of Kyogo's positioning and obviously the way it splits. So that is the second part of the problem. The third part is Joe Hart is standing too far to one side and gives himself too much to do. And then the fourth bit, despite being a club that prides itself on its sort of Irish roots, we seem to have no luck of the Irish because the ball takes an unlucky bounce right in front of Joe Hart just to make it even harder for him. There's like 4 things happened in the run-up to that ball hitting the back of the net. And as I say, only something, Liam, that could happen to Celtic. And again, it was one of them, I just had apathy towards it. I'm just like, I've seen this before. I've read this chapter before. This is exactly the type of thing that happens to us. And that goal just summed it up, sadly. What a sickener just minutes before half time.
It was, I mean, the timing of it as well was like when we scored against Rangers 2 weeks ago, right before half time, sickener, injury time, right? Thought Kyogo was, I don't know, just see when I seen him diving at the wall like that. I mean, he jumped in, he turned his back, and I know if he leans into it, but as long as he's got his arms side, we've got VAR that will hopefully say you're okay, right? But turning your back in a free kick like that, that's no good. He's got to take a bit of blame for that. And also as well, there's Joe Hart. I mean, he's an elder in this team as well. He's got a big voice, and he should have been getting that wall and giving them exactly what they needed to do. And he should have done a better job of that. You know, he's been around long enough. He's set up enough walls to understand it. That was going to leave a gap there, and that's the last thing we needed. I usually really enjoy European games. That one, I don't know, was a wee bit bitter losing that one because it sort of like, it's a lot of I told you so's with that. You know, we've been saying, and I know we've been hit with a big injury crisis, but still the players, you know, the left back, we could have had somebody better and more imposing coming from left back. Greg Taylor didn't particularly play well or really contribute to anything. And also we didn't really have a striker that could come on and change that game as an option. I'm starting to see it. It's like, you know, when Gigi came on, I knew there was a chance for a goal. I'm thinking more, hopefully he can pull something out of nowhere or show a bit of form that we've not seen this season to get on the score sheet. And it just pointed to a lot of failures of what the board and Brendan did to fail to strengthen the team. And, you know, we go into Champions League with so much expectations, and it's just, you said it before, it's a highlight reel. We've seen this movie before, know exactly how it ends. And so in that one, it was just like okay, well, 2 sending offs, you've got to look at it that way. Depleted with centre backs injuries, okay, but still don't like it.
No, of course, it's never easy to take. And I know our home record has kind of went down the Swanee in recent years in European football, particularly Champions League level. Embarrassingly, the last time we won a home game in the group stages was Ajax in 2013. That's how long ago it was. 10 years. Jeez, if we were talking before we came on the show about something 10 years ago as well, Connor. So 10 years since Celtic last won a home game in the Champions League group stages. We need to turn that around. But obviously as well, you know, that away game, because you want to make the most of your home games, you need to target one of the away fixtures at least to try and get something. And I think Feyenoord again would have been the one that they were targeting. And obviously it's gone now. There's nothing they can do about it. It went down the way it did. But it's not also just typical as well, again, of Celtic's luck, that Joe Hart finally saves a penalty. Finally, something that we talk about. and it just won't be remembered at all because of the way the rest of the game panned out. It's just very, very typical of Celtic's luck there that's happening for Joe Hart in particular, who obviously takes a lot of stick for what he's shown inability to save penalties. But yeah, finally saved one. You thought maybe, we can get back in this even with 10 men. But of course, minutes later, again, Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe, it just got even worse with the 9 men. And yeah, like when Liam's talking there about coming on stuff, he's getting garbage minutes at that point. It's just like he's just thrown on because needs must. And yeah, it just all went to pot. But as it turns out, Connor, all is not lost, because obviously another game, and this is the key about this group, is I think other teams are going to take points off each other. I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to be sitting at the end of this group on, like, say, 12 to 15 points, like way ahead of the rest. Lazio were a last-minute equaliser right at the death, and their goalkeeper scored that, of all people. They had to dig deep there. But it puts us in a position now that if we get a win against Lazio on October the 4th, we're right in the mixer again. So, again, it can't be stressed enough how vital this Lazio home game is. And again, we've got to find a way to turn this home form around, because I'm sick of harping on about it. But I remember the days, Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan in the 2000s in the Champions League. Nobody was coming to Celtic Park and getting anything. Bayern Munich celebrated getting a 0-0 draw in 2003. They were delighted to get a 0-0 at Celtic Park that night, celebrating with their fans, because they knew how much a cauldron it was to walk into. We need to do something on October the 4th and make sure we get the 3 points against Lazio. The atmosphere needs to be intense. Make sure that the Lazio players feel the pressure from the first kick to the last kick, and we will those boys over the line. Because if the players are there, we just need to find that form, just find something. And it might just be we just need a bit of luck. So I just described that first goal we lost there. Even luck went against us. Something just needs to go our way. We're overdue it, aren't we, Connor? Something surely must be about to turn for Celtic, you'd like to think.
I think that the equaliser for Lazio against Atletico Madrid could be a bit of a blessing in disguise for us. Although it does paint the picture that this group is going to be a bit of a dogfight, and they look like XL bullies and we look like a chihuahua. It's in terms of European football. It's I wouldn't put money on us being able to have the minerals to kind of stand up to a really toe-to-toe, end-to-end kind of European group. I just think at this level we're looking, out of it. It's the way I've said. We're a Europa League club masquerading as a Champions League club right now, and considering we're a team that's actually won the fucking thing, I think it's a bit of a farce, to be honest, that we're in that position. But what can you do when you've got old bastards who don't like to spend money on the board? But I think we've kind of beat that point to death over the past week. But in terms of the group, we need to win at least 2 games at home, and then draw another. Anything less than that, I think we'll be fucked. I don't even think we'll get in Europe after Christmas. I think that this will come down to maybe one of those ones where we're hoping that another result goes a certain way and that helps us on. I'm just getting those kind of vibes from it. Now, I could be totally wrong. Next week we could, give Lazio a doing, and it's all cushy, but look, we're second in the group, but it's all looking very good now. But I can't really see it. But I think it's going to be a bit of an enigma, this group. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's a bit of
the best set of results, I think, Connor, is if we beat Lazio. Obviously, a win for us in any way is good, but I think the other result that would probably benefit us the most is for Feyenoord to beat Atletico, and then if we can then beat Atletico in the third game, but it won't play out that way. You just know, best laid plans never ever play out that way. But say a win first and foremost against Lazio is the key. Our aim, obviously, is to get some sort of European football after Christmas. The Europa League would obviously be the ideal spot for us, because let's face it, if we did somehow find a way to sneak through the second round, as good as the money may be, are the board going to invest it? Probably not. We'd rather try and be a bit more competitive. So getting a Europa League, but the problem is with third place, how do you plan for finishing third place? You just have to go out and win as many games as possible. It could take 3 points to finish third. It could take 7 points to finish third. We don't know. All we can do at this point is just go out there and get as many points on the board and hope that we are playing some sort of European football after Christmas. Because, as I said last night on the TNF, my worry would be if we completely drop out of Europe, but we're still sitting quite pretty at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Will there be any investment in January after what Brendan said yesterday about being a bit underwhelmed, and a lot of eyes are now turning to the January window? Will there be? Will he get the improvements he's wanting then? I think if we're ahead of them, because that's always the most important thing to many, we're ahead of them and we're out of Europe, so there's no reason to tool up for Europe in the second half of the season if we're out. So we need to have some kind of European football just to have that something to look forward to. And again, Europa League, if we're there, I feel like we can be a bit more competitive in that one. But it's like the third place. How do you plan for finishing in third place? All we can do is just go out and get as many points as we can. But yeah, we'll deal with obviously that one when it rolls out. I say it's a good 10 days or so away now. October the 4th we'll be playing them. But yeah, before then we'll have Motherwell. But of course tomorrow we started the show talking about it, so we'll get some quick predictions on this hellhole Livingston trip that we've got coming up, because as I say, it's not been the kindest to us, but in recent times, the last 2 visits we've had there, we have sort of exercised the demons, getting 2 victories. We're scoring 3 times in both games as well. It wasn't even like scrappy 1-0 wins. But tomorrow, I will happily accept a scrappy 1-0 win, Liam. I will happily take that. How do you think it's going to go, mate? What's your predictions then for tomorrow?
3-0. 3-0 us.
Oh, another 3 goals. There you go. 3 goals and 3 points.
Kyogo with a brace and Andrew Shinney with an own goal.
Well, fair enough, aye. Oh, Andrew Shinney, he's got a track record against us.
He's a thug. Absolute thug.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on to Connor, sorry. Somebody asked me in the chat a couple of weeks ago if I'd been following Ryan Gauld with the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yes.
So then I asked a couple of guys that get season tickets and going that coach football and that, and he's playing skin this year. He's only 27-year-old, and he's played.
He's been around forever.
He's a playmaker. I know he's been around for ages, right? And so I know he's playing really, really well here, and he's a playmaker. He's trying to get on the Scotland radar right now as far as getting a game for them. But I'd really like to think that this January, that when the MLS finishes, that's where we're recruiting players. I think there's a few guys in there that we could definitely afford. Ryan Gauld would be one of them. And I think the other one could be Kamal Miller, that's playing with Miami, Inter Miami right now.
Inter Miami.
And he's, as I've said that before, he's AJ's pal. And so I see those 2 coming into the team. But also as well, look at some of the players in that league. That's where I think we'll be able to snap up some talent. And I'm hoping maybe that's the plan for January, and we've got our scouts busy as hell over here.
Yeah, because it's one of the leagues that it runs March to November. So yeah, the January window would be a good time. And Alistair Johnson came in the January window, and if talent like that is there, I mean, it's out there, and all leagues have got these hidden gems out there. You've just got to have the right scouting team to unearth them. So hopefully, there is a plan in place for January. But again, that'll be fun when that rolls around, and we're having to talk about the January window and go through all the stresses again that we just had there in the summer. But you'd like to think that they've got something up their sleeve for that one. Connor, how do you think tomorrow will go? Do you think, are you as confident as Liam, a resounding 3-0 victory? Or are you just like, nah, we'll scrape it? But I say, as long as it's a victory, I don't care if it's 1-0, 5-0, whatever. As long as Celtic get the 3 points, mate, that's all I care about.
I'm going to go with a 4-0 win.
Oh my God, yes.
I know. I honestly take that every day of the fucking week. But I just think that after that performance and result during the week, I think Brendan and the players will like, right, we need to buck up our ideas and give the fans something to worry about, something to cheer about, I should say.
Don't worry about anything,
yeah. Give the fans something to, be happy about, and to, kind of give us a bit of an extension on the gap at the top of the table, and put on a good performance, and put to bed any notion that this team, this club, this pitch, this stadium has any sort of hoodoo over us, you know, because obviously last season, you know, we kind of got rid of it. We're totally fine playing them, even at Livingston. Now, obviously, it's a different scenario with Brendan being back and the different squad of players and injuries and all the rest of it. So here's hoping we can go in tomorrow and just kind of put all of this to bed.
I'll take a 2-0 victory. I think I'll just say victory, but I'll go for 2-0 to Celtic tomorrow. And I think we might need to wait a little bit for the first goal. I would love it to be a nice early goal. Really would. The ideal would kick off, and after 5 minutes with a goal up, I got a funny feeling it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat performance. A lot of holding on to the ball, a lot of passing it sideways, a lot of their 10 men behind the ball, a lot of yellow jerseys basically blocking us the entire time. But I think eventually we will get the goal, and then we'll add a second one not long after. So that's what I'll go for in that one. But as I say, ultimately, I don't care if it's 1-5, 3-0, whatever. As long as they get the 3 points tomorrow, we put the pressure on Rangers back onto them. Because, yeah, it's a rare weekend where we get to play before them. So we need to make sure that we're always ramping the pressure up on them. But, yep, we will be heading off now. That's an hour gone, guys. Fight Feeling is in the books again. So, yeah, tomorrow, whenever you watch the game, if you're going through to Livingston, because they do give us a generous away allocation, unlike some other clubs in the country who like to cut Celtic's away allocation. But yeah, we've talked about that many times. Those clubs will remain nameless. But yeah, if you're going through the game, obviously, if it's a good one and you enjoy it, and yeah, whenever you watch the game tomorrow, then yes, say fingers crossed, we're all celebrating a Celtic victory at the end. But yeah, we're heading off now, guys. So enjoy the rest of your night, whatever you're up to. Liam's got his whole day ahead of him because it's the middle of the day over there in Vancouver. So whatever you get up to as well, Liam, you enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, tomorrow PMP will be on, I think, 3, the Terry and Russell were talking about it. But either way, if you've subscribed to the channel, which I encourage you to start, remember, you'll see the link pop up on YouTube when it's coming up. So yeah, look out for it, PMP tomorrow. And yeah, tune in then for Terry and Russell's dissection of the game. And yeah, guys, we will catch you later. All the best, folks, and good luck to Celtic tomorrow. Cheers, guys.
Good night. Bye. Yeah.